Let's start by punching a 4-inch mini book cover and pages. For this size book, the width is the same as the bind it all. You can set your paper stop guide on C for cover setting and place the chipboard in the punching channel, making sure the bottom is sitting flat and flush toward the stop guide. Hold it firmly and bring the handle down to punch. For the inner pages, repeat the same steps. However, change the stop guide to D for inner pages. Set them in the punching channel, make sure they're flat and flush against the stop guide, bring down the handle and punch. Try lining your covers with a variety of paper thicknesses or even fabric. You can stretch your creativity by punching covers from acrylic, thin wood, thin tin, and plastic. Now, if you want to punch a longer album, in this case 8 inches, you will follow the same basic steps as before. However, because the bind it all punches 6 holes at a time, depending on the width of the project, you will punch each cover multiple times. Refer to your owner's manual for a detailed punching guide to tell you the number of holes needed for various widths. In this example, we are punching an 8-inch album and will need 14 holes for the full length. Set the stop guide on C for cover setting. Place the chipboard in the punching channel. Make sure the bottom is sitting flat and flush toward the stop guide. Hold it firmly and bring the handle down to punch. Move the stop guide to A, open setting, and slide the cover to the right, counting over to the 5th hole that you've punched. Engage the stop guide tab into the 5th hole. Bring the handle down to punch. Repeat this step again, this time engaging the 7th punched hole. Bring the handle down again, and you have perfect aligned, even holes. For the inner pages, repeat these same steps, however change the stop guide to D for inner pages for your first set of punches. Set them in the punching channel, make sure they're flat and flush against the stop guide, bring down the handle and punch. Alright, and then you have perfectly lined holes in your inner pages that correspond to your punched cover. Look at that, perfectly lined up. Now that the holes are punched, let's get ready to bind. The first step is to prepare your O-wire. For these projects, we need to count off the proper number of loops for our 4-inch book as well as our 8-inch book. In this case, 6 loops. You'll just count the number of loops that correspond with the number of holes that you've punched. In this case, 6 for the mini book and 14 for this book. This is where the handy O-wire templates will come in very, very handy. Now you can use the O-wires for 2 different forms of measurement. One is a visual guide. You can place the O-wire on the front so you know what size you have, but the most important method is to use it as a measuring tool in adjusting the closing plate here. Place it in the closing channel and adjust the knob this way to move it forward and back. Now, here's a trick that most scrappers overlook when it comes to binding. In order for the seam of where your wires come together, here, to appear in the back of the book and not on the outside of the book, you need to follow a simple organizational tip. What you'll want to do for step 1 is to place your project in the order that you want. Your front cover, followed by your inner pages, and then your back cover. Then flip your back cover around to the front, like so. So your back cover is facing your front cover. Then insert your wires into the inner pages like this. Now we're ready to go. Now we're going to place this in the binding channel, flat down with the openings of the wires flat down and the loops facing the machine. Okay, and this is where the covers are in the center. Squeeze it gently. You're going to flip it around. There's your inside pages and the seam is in the back. For the longer project, you're going to follow the same steps as you did for the 4-inch. Now we're going to bind our 8-inch book. As we did with our 4-inch book, we're going to order the pages in the order that we want, with the front cover followed by the inner pages and then the back cover. Flip the back cover around to the front so they're facing, and insert your wires into the holes from the inner pages. As we did with the punching, we're going to need to bind in sections. In order to ensure that you have perfectly round holes, you're going to want to make sure that you put your wires flat down with the small loops of the wire facing the bind it all. Gently but firmly squeeze the handle down. The closing channel will stop on its own. To give you perfect circles. Now we have our book, front cover, inner pages, and the seam in the back of the book. As with punching, you'll want to bind your project before you add any heavy or thick embellishments. That will prevent them from being damaged. Congratulations! You've done it. You can now punch and bind like a pro.